Hey there, and welcome into BTN Live. Rick Pizzo, Russ Lande with you. Stephen Bardo joins us shortly. Russ, only able to make an appearance because you cleared customs, what, like 6-8 times
Exactly,
over the past couple of weeks?
Been all over the place, down at the Alouettes, draft meetings, and also going over and watching a little mini camp, see all the new players that we have.
Well, we're going to test your knowledge of the Big Ten players getting set to enter this year's NFL draft in just a second. But first, of course, we want our viewers to be involved as well. Do that via the Twitter sphere. You can tweet us comments, questions, even some concerns if you like, at BTN Live. You can also send a direct message to me. I'm at BTN Rick Pizzo if you prefer to go that way. Russ is at Russ Lande, Stephen Bardo at Stephen Bardo, or at BTN Stats Guys. Time for us now to evaluate the talent coming from the Big Ten into this year's NFL draft, less than 3 weeks away from the opening night of the draft. Russ, let's start at the top of the draft, or at least the guys that we expect from the Big Ten to be near the top of the draft, and that's Darqueze Dennard, the Jim Thorpe winner and one of the best corners in all the nation.
You know, when you watch Dennard, you actually think back to football 20 years ago because he's sort of a mugger on the field. He gets his hands on his guys. He loves to play physical. He can ride guys off the stem. It's not something you see from many corners anymore. When you add that to the fact that he's a very athletic kid, he's got natural ball skills, and he's a highly competitive football player, there's not much to not like other than the fact that he doesn't have blazing speed. So I think when NFL teams look at him, they see a frontline starter, a guy who's going to step in day one and should be able to contribute, and a guy that has the potential, especially if he goes to a team like a Pittsburgh or the Giants, that allows their guys to get their hands on the receiver. He could be a Pro Bowl guy early in his career. So I expect he'll go top 10 to top 15 in the draft because of all those reasons.
And you're seeing so many more corners today as opposed to 5 or 10 years ago, being more physical at the line, not letting those guys get off with the new rules. I think the speed's going to be much less of a factor, and I think a lot of NFL teams, Russ, are banking on that as well. Taylor Lewan, a guy who I'm not sure you would say he had a disappointing senior season. The Michigan offensive line had a disappointing season this past year for Lewan. He's got a mean streak. He's got all the measurables. He's huge. Some off-the-field issues have surfaced over the past couple of months. What's the latest on Lewan?
You know, I think teams sort of, it's a tale of two guys. The questions about maturity obviously are there because of these off-field issues, but when you talk to people around the program, you don't get the impression he's a bad kid. What you get is that this is a young kid. He's a little bit immature at times, but in terms of talent, working off the field to be prepared, he's top-notch. He does everything it takes to be ready come game day. He's a tremendous athlete. He showed that at the Combine. He showed it on the field throughout his career. If he learns to use his hands more aggressively in pass protection, NFL teams feel he has a chance to be a franchise left tackle because he's already a great athlete who's a dominant run blocker who can be very good in pass pro when he uses his hands correctly.
And we've talked to John Jansen, our colleague and friend. He says don't really worry about people saying Lewan maybe has too much of a mean streak. No such thing when it comes to offensive linemen in the NFL. You got to be mean from the first snap till the very last. Ryan Shazier at Ohio State, very interesting study because he's a guy who's all over the field, a guy who had 20-plus tackles several times during his career, but there are a lot of questions about playing the position that he played in college at the NFL level with his size.
And, you know, I think the most interesting thing that comes from that is this is a kid that played, because he was a former safety, he played between probably 218 to 222 most of his college career. He goes to the Combine, he weighs in at 237, so immediately teams start grilling him, saying, why are you so big? What's going on? His response is, hey, once the season ended, I got to go to a training facility. I got 3 square meals a day. I got all the protein shakes, all the stuff I needed, and the weight came on in a heartbeat. He said, I'm going to be able to play at 240s without a problem. So NFL teams are really excited because there are very few guys over 230 pounds that have elite explosiveness, sideline range, can be frontline guys in terms of pass coverage, and can rush the passer. He's the whole package. He will be a first-round pick.
Be interesting to me to see if Shazier can play that fast at 240 at the next level. Allen Robinson, a guy where speed was a concern, especially at the Combine, did not have a great Combine, but you were telling me a little bit earlier today, that really flipped after his pro day at Penn State.
Well, what it is scouts, when they watched the film of Robinson, they love what they saw. They saw a kid who had natural hands, could win the jump balls, was dynamic in terms of getting up the field after the catch, breaking tackles, and making big plays. But they even questioned, hey, does he have elite speed or is he just an average guy? goes to the combine. He didn't run particularly well, high 4.5s on most clocks. Then he goes to his pro day, runs in the low 4.4s, verticals over 40 inches. So I think teams that had concerns about speed are at least saying, you know what, we have no doubt he's at least average. So if he's average in speed, all the other attributes are outstanding. He's going to be a first-round pick. I think some of those teams at the bottom of the first round may even get trade offers from teams at the top of the second trying to trade back in based on what he's done since the season ended.
He's one of those guys who, if the ball is anywhere where he can get his hands on it, it's going to be in his breadbasket. Simply does not drop the football. That, obviously, invaluable. Rashid Hageman from Minnesota, a guy who, when he wants to, can be dominant. And you want to talk about the eyeball test? He passes it when you look at him, looks like an absolute monster. But there are some answers that need, or some questions, I should say, that need to be answered.
Oh, there's no question. I think he's one of those ultimate guys that sort of, you're nervous about what you're going to get at the next level. Because when you put on the Minnesota film, you see a guy who makes 3 or 4 plays a game and looks like an Adonis. But then he disappears for a quarter or two at a time, plays high, doesn't give a great effort, and that makes NFL teams say, what's going to happen when he gets in the NFL, when he gets $4 or $5 million? Is he going to have the same motivation? Nobody questions his character. He's a good kid, smart, well-spoken, but is he going to put in the necessary time to be successful and play on the field with the aggressive attitude that it takes to be successful at that position? It's not easy to play defensive line if you don't attack people, if you don't play aggressively every snap. If you take it for granted and get a little upright and don't compete hard, you're going to get dominated at the next level.
Ohio State's Bradley Roby going into this past season was by far the most hyped Big Ten defensive back, one of the most hyped Big Ten defensive players, period. He's suspended early in the year. He doesn't play in the bowl game. There were questions about just how hurt he was when he decided not to match up with Sammy Watkins. And yet everything I'm hearing, Russ, still tells me that Roby is very likely a first-round pick.
Well, I think there's a real strong likelihood. And the reality is you're talking about a 5'11 and a half kid with rare athleticism who's willing to come up and tackle, who has shown at times the ability to be a dominant player because he's willing to play physical and press. He has great instincts to close on the ball from off coverage, and he is willing to take on big receivers and doesn't have a hesitation playing physical. But there's no doubt teams are concerned. He got suspended for that opening. And then at the combine, when he was interviewed in front of the whole media, he basically said, hey, I didn't really practice for a few weeks or practice hard because I knew I was being suspended. And that's why when I came back, I really struggled when Wisconsin came in and Abaderis killed him. So this is a kid, NFL teams have real concerns. The suspension, not practicing, not playing hard. Then a lot of NFL teams feel he could have played in that bowl game and he didn't. So there's real concerns about the mental, work ethic, all that. But physical talent, this kid will be a first-round pick. I actually had a scout tell me last week his team picks in the 20s. He said, I hope he's not on the board when we pick because I don't want to have to get on the table and battle that there's going to be issues with this kid.
So we've just gone through a half dozen of the Big Ten's top prospects, all guys that you believe could potentially go in the first round. Now, that is a far cry from last year where just one Big Ten player was a first-round selection. Bonus points if you knew it was Wisconsin offensive lineman Travis Frederick. So this draft looks a lot more like 2012 or 2011 when 4 and 6 guys, respectively, were taken in the first round coming out of the Big Ten. Of those 6 guys, Russ, if you had to pin a number on it, how many do you think go in round number 1 this year?
You know, I'd say 5 is probably your most likely. I think 4 of those guys that we spoke of at the top. And then I think really the debate comes between Hageman and Roby. Which one of them slips in? I think it's going to be 5. Hageman's sort of the wild card. If he goes in the first round, I think there'll be 6 total Big Ten guys going in the first round.
So you have no doubt Dennard, Lewan, Shazier, and Robinson as basic lock first rounders.
Well, the first 3, definitely. Robinson, I'd say, is 85%. You never know with receivers because sometimes guys like Brandon Cooks, who are tiny little guys, they sneak in because they ran fast. But I think, yeah, Robinson, if I were to bet today, I'd say, yeah, I think he's going to be a first rounder.